Hey guys, Fiora here, and today I'm going to be showing you the Zenvo TS1 GT Anniversary in multiplayer in Asphalt 9. As my Zenvo TS1 is only 5.5 stars currently, Rulue has given me some races in her completely golden maxed one. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already, and be sure to check out my Fiora Clips channel and my Purple Team Discord. The link to those will be in the description, and I hope you enjoy these races. So, if you watched my new best and worst cars in each class list video, you'll know that the Zenvo TS1 is kind of a high mid-tier S-Class car. It's better than the FENYR, but it's worse than the Speedtail and the Inferno, and it's kind of right in line with the Metzen. I would say the Metzen is slightly worse though. But that should give you an idea of where it fits overall in Class S. And speaking of the best and worst cars in each class list video, as always, it was not perfect. There is of course still improvements that can be made, but I've enlisted the help of an even bigger team for this next time. Got several new people together today to help work on the next list. People who have a lot of expertise in different areas of the game, because honestly, when you have a team that's creating a list such as this, you want to find people that have different strengths and specializations within the game, because overall I believe that will lead to a more accurate result. That being said, overall I am pretty satisfied with how the list turned out, and while some cars could possibly move up or down a tier, overall I would consider it to be a very good basis point for thinking about which cars you do and maybe do not want to go for in the future. And to answer some people, no, I will not be making one of these every single update. You probably don't have any idea just how long it takes us to put these together and figure out where every single car should be ranked. I would say that a lot more goes on behind the scenes with these best and worst cars in each class list videos than pretty much any other kinds of video I make. So probably they will continue to come out every 6 months or so. Every 4 updates is kind of my goal. I don't want to oversaturate the channel with them. Like, I don't want people to think, oh, you just uploaded one of these, why are you making another one? But I also want to make them often enough so that generally speaking, you'll always be able to find one that's not more than a couple of updates behind. Oh, one thing that I didn't mention in the video is that the events list can be used as also a Ghost multiplayer tier list and a Slipstream tier list, and I guess by extension a Ghost Slipstream tier list. The reason for this is fairly easy to see when you just look at the plain old Ghost multiplayer seasons, where since you don't really interact with the other players at all, it's essentially like playing a TLE. Now, you don't get to play again if you mess up, which means that cars with lower reliability might perhaps be a bit lower, but overall, it works pretty well, and I would say for Slipstream it works even better because Slipstream highly favors cars that have good top speed, just like generally we see with events. I will definitely remember to make that more clear next time I make one of these lists, but know that in the meantime you can use the event tier list as a basic substitute for a Ghost and or Slipstream multiplayer tier list. Now let's talk more about the Zenvo. Its top speed is, I would say, above average for Class S at around 270 miles per hour. This again puts its speed pretty much in line with cars like the FENYR and the Metzen and the Inferno. Its acceleration is quite average at just above 81, but its drifting is very good. It's one of those cars that just feels lighter, and it can do pretty good floaty drifting, and because of that, the punch nitro drifting too. I know that I have not talked much about the punch drifting or the floaty drifting much in my videos. However, I began to practice them more during my last stream, and with the help of chat and several people that I talked to on Discord afterwards, I'm definitely beginning to understand it a bit better, and I'm going to try to incorporate it more in my videos. Not only that, I want to make a video about it myself eventually as an addition to my How to Go Fast in Asphalt 9 video. Really, nothing in that video is outdated, like nothing in it is wrong. There's just been more stuff that has been found since then, so it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for me to make a completely new video, so I'll just make an add-on with the few new things that have been discovered since then. But since I'm talking about it now, let me give you a very rudimentary breakdown on what the floaty drifting and the punch drifting are. They actually work fairly similarly, but you get to them through doing different things. Floaty drifting works by 360ing before a turn in the opposite direction that the turn is going, and then directly after the 360, fully holding down the left or right or whatever button that you're pressing in the direction of the turn. This allows you to keep a higher speed around the turn than you would if you just drifted normally. Now, this cannot be used in any car. It typically works on faster faster cars and on cars that are lighter. However, cars like the Regera can also do it as well. I'm sure most of you at this point have heard about floaty drifting and know pretty much what it is, but I do know that punch drifting around corners is a relatively newer phenomenon. Now, I know it was discovered many months ago, but just recently has it come into mainstream Asphalt, and a lot of people, including myself, have not taken much note of it until now. But basically, the way it works is when you are drifting in one of these cars that can do floaty drifting, if you press nitro and then quickly do brake again in the middle of a turn, what it will do is it will give you a slight speed boost if you do it right, and you'll be able to drift a little bit faster. The catch is, it does not work like it does in Asphalt 8. In Asphalt 8, you would do punch drifting to get around corners sharper. Like when you punch drifted, your car would go more toward the middle and you'd get a tighter drifting radius. This is not the case in Asphalt 9. In Asphalt 9, when you do punch drifting, it actually makes your radius a little bit wider, but it does, as I said, make your speed faster if you do it correctly. So this could be best used on turns that are not super sharp, and so basically instead of just drifting wider, you could drift a bit narrower and then use the punch drifting in the middle of it to keep your speed even higher throughout it. They're very useful techniques, and as I said, I'm going to try to learn them better so I can make videos about them myself and start incorporating them more in my videos, but for the time being, I will try to remember to link in the description 2 videos by RPM Zane, who was the one who made some of the first videos about it, actually. Oh, and by the way, the reason that Rulue was going off to the right there was that these races were recorded before the recent Nevada patch. Hopefully you've been able to see throughout this video that the Zenvo is quite competitive in multiplayer. In this race, Rulue is facing a Koenigsegg Regera, and she manages to beat him by a very close margin, and while I would say that the Regera is overall a better multiplayer car than the Zenvo is easier to drive. And so for many players, the Zenvo might be your better choice if you're not used to high top speed cars that don't drift well. And now it is time for my final race in the video, in which Rulue is facing a Huracan and a VLF, both of which are great cars for multiplayer in their own classes. However, in S-Class, they just don't have the speed to match the Zenvo. So now it's time for my general review about this car. By all means, the Zenvo is a fun car to drive and very competitive in multiplayer. It will not compete well against the highest end kings of its class, like it'll get smashed by the Jesko and the Tuatara most likely, but against most other cars, it will have a very good chance. From my own experiences, I would almost consider this car to be like a watered down version of the Trion Nemesis, because it does have that pretty good handling, it does have that kind of bad nitro, and it does have pretty good speed. It is definitely a relatively easy Class S car to drive, and so I would definitely recommend trying to get as many blueprints as you can for it through the multiplayer seasons, where it is alternating with the FENYR, and we honestly have no idea when a new car will replace them. I'll be trying to get as soon as possible the 24 or so blueprints I have left to max this car. Thank you all so much for watching, and thank you to Rulue for these races. Please like the video if you have enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt and other games content, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!